toxic masculinity.
Is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez mentally unstable? Okay, so why am I saying this? I started to wonder about this after the January 6th protest, right? That during this protest, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez freaked out. She freaked out. She was hiding in her bathroom when a Capitol Police officer was looking for her to try to tell her where to go. And she thought that these were protesters coming to kill her, right? And so she had this kind of weird panic attack and she freaked out and she thought this guy was trying to kill her or something like that. And when she recounted the story, she seemed to think that this Capitol Police officer was not actually trying to help her, that he was actually somehow in cahoots with the protesters or something like that, and she was trying to put her life in danger. It was the weirdest thing. She's clearly somehow paranoid, right? She's clearly a paranoid person. She thinks that, okay, so if you watch her whole story, she talks in very specific detail about how she was hiding and looking through this, between the door and the wall and trying to make sure that, that she wasn't going to be killed and all this kind of stuff. And it was like, you weren't actually in any danger. Why are you should be embarrassed by having been scared of this, because there wasn't any insurrectionists there. You weren't even anywhere near the Capitol. You were a 10-minute walk from the Capitol in your own office, somewhere that none of the protesters had any idea where you even were. And you're panicking. And then she went ahead and she walked to another building, found a friend of hers, hid in her office, where once again there were no protesters, and she panicked there as well, and she freaked out there as well, and she was going on this long rant about how she was panicked the whole time and freaking out. And this is obviously irrational, right? This is not a sensible reaction to what happened. The January 6th protesters didn't kill anyone. They did, as far as I'm concerned, as I'm aware, the protesters didn't seriously injure anyone, right? There was one protester who was killed by Capitol Police, which was a huge overreaction. I think that police officer needs to be investigated. Of course, Capitol Police are like, nope, didn't do anything wrong. He's perfect. He's fine. Murdering somebody is perfectly fine if you're a police officer. Murder is fine. Of course, not if you're a black drug dealer, or I don't know, was George Floyd a drug dealer? What was he? Some kind of criminal. If you're a black criminal male, it's fine. Or it's like, you're going to prosecute the police officer, put him in jail. Yep. Okay. That's how we're going to deal with that. But if you're a white woman who happens to have voted for Donald Trump and support the MAGA movement, well, then no. You have no ability to investigate the police officer. He has every right to murder you. You're a murderable person. That's perfectly fine. You walk through the Capitol. Somebody broke a window and you try to jump through that window. Therefore, you can be murdered. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. Right. So, the whole system's just messed up. I don't really understand. But anyway, I lost my place. Where was I? Oh, yeah, the AOC thing. But now, she's proving to be even crazier than we thought. Right? So, I know I covered the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing recently. AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene seem to have some kind of a rivalry going. Marjorie Taylor Greene obviously doesn't like AOC. She doesn't like the Green New Deal. She thinks that AOC needs to be able to, instead of constantly just going on social media and hosting press conferences and speaking in situations in which she's very comfortable, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, no, you need to be able to defend your policies against somebody who actually doesn't like them, right? Who actually doesn't like you and doesn't like your policies. Right, Marjorie Taylor Greene is somebody who, she's a tough person, right? And, she thinks that AOC has to stand and defend her ideas against scrutiny, not against these reporters that will just roll over and agree with everything that she says, or, on social media where she has nobody standing up to her or fighting back against her. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, stand up for your principles, stand up against me, and debate me, right? She's not saying let's go get in a fight in the back alley. She's saying let's have a debate. That's what politicians are supposed to do. And AOC is like, no, you're crazy. You're stalking me. Stalking. This is the word that they're using now. They're using the word stalking. If this isn't paranoia, I don't know what paranoia is. You're talking about a coworker in a discipline or in a profession in which you are supposed to debate ideas. That's what your profession is all about, debating ideas, asking you to debate ideas. And instead of going, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that, or no, I'm scared of you because I think you're going to beat me, you instead turn around and you say, no, I think you're a scary stalker, and therefore I'm not going to debate you. This is her defense. This is her way of getting out of debating Marjorie Taylor Greene, is saying that she's a stalker. Now, this is either just a pathetic way of sneaking out of debating somebody who she thinks she's going to lose a debate to, or AOC is legitimately crazy, right? She's got some kind of paranoia, and it seems like it's at a level that is clinical, right? She's got a problem that's. Now, I've talked about this with several people, and they've said, no, you shouldn't say that about AOC. I don't think she's crazy. And maybe not. Probably not. But I'm just not sure. So it's something I think does need to be brought up. Now, the most recent thing that's happened, or one of the more recent things that has happened, is this. So AOC has revealed that she is now in therapy because of the January 6th protest. She's in therapy. She's going to see a psychiatrist. Sweetheart, you gotta quiet him down. I know you're holding him. Why? Thank you. I don't know why it's gone crazy. All right. The quote here says, "I feel like I learned this the hard way after my father had passed away when I was a teenager. That happened at a young age, and I locked it away." Well, I shouldn't make fun of that, because her father did die, and I do have some sympathy for that. I have a lot of sympathy for that. I think that's actually really tough. Anybody who loses a parent, especially when they're quite young, that is quite bad. And so maybe she's enduring some kind of trauma from that, which I'm absolutely sympathetic to, but I don't think we should have people with significant psychological problems in Congress. I mean, we definitely have a few, Maxine Waters, for one. But let's have a look here at this full article. So it says, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says she's in therapy following the all-out attempted coup at the Capitol on the 6th of January. Speaking to the weekly public radio show Latino USA on Friday, Miss Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said members of Congress effectively served in war during the traumatizing event that had deeply affected lawmaking and impacted the legislative process. Yeah, so she said... Is it here? Is the audio here? I found it once, and I didn't. I should have grabbed it. Let's see. Can we open this up? Let's see here. Yeah, I'm not gonna scroll through this now. I should have done this before the show. Sorry about that. I'm not gonna play the audio. But yeah, so she's actually equated her January 6th protest experience, where she was in two offices in which there was essentially zero danger of protesters even interacting with her, much less hurting her in any way. But she's convinced that she could have been kidnapped or murdered or worse. She's also claimed that some conservative members of the House of Representatives or the Senate actually helped the protesters to get into the Capitol building and try to find and either kidnap or hurt other members of Congress, Democrat members of Congress. This is crazy. I mean, this is crazy. These are the things that she is proposing, that she is speculating about. She thinks there's this massive right-wing conspiracy, right? She's gone full Hillary Clinton. And she thinks there's this massive right-wing conspiracy against her, trying to murder her, trying to murder Nancy Pelosi. I mean, it's like legit crazy town. And now she's saying that she has had the equivalent of, of a soldier in war, having gone through that experience. And so I guess she deserves the Purple Heart then, or something like that, right? The Medal of Honor. She's a veteran, guys. She's a veteran. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. She says, after the 6th I took some time, and it was really Ayanna Pressley when I explained to her what happened, like the day of, because I ran into her office and she was like, "You need to recognize trauma," Ms. Ocasio-Cortez said. Yeah, this is something that she talks about when she went through and she described in painful detail every moment of her terror at the January 6th protesters. And she didn't recognize this as a traumatic incident because she was just sort of dealing with the fact that she was kind of like freaking out, totally irrationally, by the way, as I might have said earlier, about the January 6th protesters. She was freaking out. She goes and meets up with Ayanna Pressley. Ayanna Pressley says, this is a traumatic incident for you. You need to realize that. Okay, let me just say this. If you don't realize that something's traumatized you, it might not have traumatized you. I think that when you've experienced something that is intense, right, and you don't really think of it as traumatizing, and then someone tells you, like, afterwards, you've been traumatized, I think you can actually, like, brainwash yourself into thinking that, right? You can actually condition your brain into thinking, oh, yes, I've been traumatized. Even though you haven't been traumatized. You know why? Because you didn't think you're traumatized until Ayanna Pressley told you were traumatized. You're like, yeah, you know what? I am traumatized. That's what this is. This is a trauma. Oh my gosh. Because you know what that does? That makes you feel special. Or at least I think that makes her probably feel special, right? It makes her feel like, you've given it a label, and it's a label that makes it a lot bigger than what it is. If you just say you kind of experienced some kind of... you kind of freaked out irrationally, well, that doesn't have the same impact as, sweetie, can we just leave it until I'm done with the show? Oh, thank you. It doesn't have the same impact as you experienced a traumatic incident, right? That makes it seem so much more significant. So she obviously wants to frame it that way. This is a trick that a lot of Democrats use, right? They'll use words to frame things in ways that it doesn't actually make sense, right? It's not appropriate for the whatever it is that they're trying to describe. But what it does is it twists it in a way that's actually better for them. And so this is what she's doing, right? She's using language to try to frame what happened in a way that makes her look good or makes her the victim somehow. And those Democrats, they love being a victim. All right, let's read through a little bit more of this. I felt like I learned the hard way after my father passed away when I was a teenager. That happened at a young age, and I locked it away, and you have to live with it for years. So I guess what she's saying is she was traumatized when her father died, but she like locked that away, and she didn't realize she was traumatized for years, and so she sort of equates this situation to that. Yeah, I don't know if I would equate a family member dying with me freaking out over something that turns out I was never in danger about. Like, again, I feel like if I was in a situation in which I thought I was in this massive amount of danger and I freaked out for several hours, and then I found out later that I was never actually in any danger at all, I would be a little bit embarrassed, right? I probably wouldn't tell people about it. But she's going all over the place telling anybody who'll listen. I was traumatized. A traumatizing experience. I thought they were going to kill me. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they never even came close to where you were. Yeah, I know, but they're animals. They wanted to kill me. Actually, nobody had any intention of killing you or going anywhere near you. Nobody was even looking for you. Yes, no, but I think that they were. All right. Anyway, let's see here. Asked if she was in therapy, she replied, "Oh yeah, I'm doing therapy, but I've also just slowed down. And I think the Trump administration had a lot of us, especially Latino communities, in a very reactive mode." The hell does that even mean? The hell does that even mean? Because Donald Trump was so like terrifying to her that she was overreacting to things, so it's Trump's fault now? Get over yourself, woman. All right, let's see here. In the near aftermath of the pro-Trump riot, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez released an Instagram video saying that she hid in the bathroom fearing for her life as police knocked down her door with huge, violent bangs. It became another... Yeah, I read all that stuff. Let me play for you guys. Okay, let me look for something real quick because... I know I mentioned Dinesh D'Souza earlier, but I'm gonna mention him again because I just watched this awesome video with Dinesh from today. in which he's talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and what a loon she is. Let's see here. Why can't I find this? Oh, well, yeah. Let me look at my account history. Maybe I'll find it there. Yeah, I know. It's dead air. It's not entertaining. Still, just wait. What? Bro, I know you did something about AOC. I know you did something about AOC. What was it? All right, let me look at my history. Just make sure you guys can't see my history. You're going to see all the weird videos that I watch. Valeria yelled, and porn. There's no porn on YouTube, woman. What? I've checked. But there is porn on Twitter. Isn't that weird? There's porn on Twitter. I just found that out like a few weeks ago. I was like, what the hell? I was doing a video about, Joe Rogan interviewed Jack Dorsey, and he said, you can put porn on Twitter, right? And Jack Dorsey was like, oh yeah. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Where are you, Dinesh? Where are you? Let's see here. Find AOC. Let's see here. There we go. This is what I'm looking for. All right, I found it. All right, that's what we want to see. Because he's got this audio clip that's amazing. That's what I wanted to play. All right, let's play this. I'm going to put my headphones on so I can hear. All right.
This was an all-out attempted coup. Mike Pence was taken out of the Senate chamber something like 60 seconds before these terrorists and insurrectionists got into the Senate chamber. 60 seconds could have meant potentially the difference between what we have right now in a martial state.
Could have. It really could have. It could have been.
All right, I don't want you guys to hear Dinesh D'Souza's commentary on this. You can watch his video for that. I want you to hear mine. Yeah, but I mean, his commentary is perfect. Dinesh D'Souza is awesome. Love the guy. And I will say this. He's spot on. Like, this is, I don't really understand what she means. Dinesh D'Souza is interpreting what she's saying as to mean that actually the insurrectionists, quote unquote, right, the protesters on January 6th could have like somehow kidnapped like Mike Pence and then taken over the U.S. government or something like that. Maybe that's what she's thinking. And maybe that is what she's saying. But maybe she's saying that, like, had the insurrectionists somehow killed Mike Pence or something like that, we would have gone into martial law or something, with Trump as president, because he would have had to, like, lock down the country. And I'm not really sure exactly. He's probably right. Dinesh is probably right. The interpretation that he has is probably right, that AOC seems to think that the insurrection, that the protesters, as insurrectionists, as she seems to think that they are, were in fact such a clear and present danger that they could very well have taken over the U.S. government that day. I mean, if she really thinks that, I mean, that's just beyond the realm of Looney Tunes. There's something weird about AOC. She is paranoid to a degree that it does seem like there's a mental problem there. Now, it could be that she's just, like, clinically stupid. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, that's what I think most people think. I think most people think she's so dumb that she just believes crazy stuff. And that's kind of what I thought for a long time. And to some degree, I kind of still do. It's still certainly within the realm of possibilities. But I don't know, man. I mean, most Democrat politicians, I think, well, once you get into it, once you're engaged in politics, you got to learn about all the stuff that's going on. If you're a Democrat, you can't really be a Democrat unless you are corrupt, right? Because you eventually do figure out, okay, simply looking at economics alone. Aston, shut up. What are you doing? Simply looking at economics alone, you got to recognize that the Republicans are right on this stuff. If you're going to be a Democrat, you're going to make the country a worse place with your fiscal policy. That's just naturally going to happen if you follow these bizarre leftist ideas. So the Republican ideas are going to... Whoa. What's going on over there? Republican ideas are just going to improve the country. I mean, there's really no question about it. At least in terms of fiscal policy, there's no real question. We won that argument, I think, in the Reagan years, right? But moving past that to social issues, okay, yeah, there's like a little bit more of a perspective that you need to have with that, right? So different people are going to have different perspectives. You're going to have to argue and debate that. Okay, I understand that. But I think that once you get into actual politics, you're an actual politician, and you've investigated this stuff and you've looked into it in the way that I have been able to, you realize that Democrat politicians don't really believe things in the same way their constituents do. How many politicians really care that much about green energy? How many of these politicians really care that much about the black community? How many of these politicians really care? I mean, honestly, do you think Maxine Waters cares about the black community? I don't. I don't think she cares about the black community at all. I think Maxine Waters cares about Maxine Waters. And I think once you get to know these people, and once you get to know what the policies actually are and what their use is, and when you start talking in a more realistic way with some of these people in D.C., I think that they have to realize that it's all just political theater. A lot of this stuff is taking a certain political position is just a way of creating the illusion that you care, so that you get votes and you get power and you can make money and all this kind of stuff. It's what you might call posturing, right? Posturing to impress the people, virtue signaling, to impress the people that you need to vote for you, and you need certain support for certain ideas, for certain things that you want to do. As soon as Democrats got power, as soon as they got into the White House, as soon as they got the Senate and the Congress, what did they do? They immediately passed a bill full of pork so they could pay off their buddies. Right? Nancy Pelosi was just like, yeah, she did like a little flippin' dance. It was absolutely despicable. A bill completely, and now they want to pass another one. I think it's originally it was like $2 billion. I think they got it down to like 1.7 now. $1 billion infrastructure bill in which 6% is infrastructure. It's just full of pork, man. They're just trying to they're redistributing wealth, but not in the way that they say they are, right? They say they want to redistribute wealth like, oh, let's take it from the rich and give it to the poor. We're like Robin Hood. No, you're not. You're taking from average Americans, good, hardworking Americans, and you're giving it to your Democrat friends who own corporations. You're just taking from the general public, Republicans and Democrats, and giving it to your Democrat buddies who paid for your re-election campaign or something like that. It is absolutely disgusting. I mean, the way the Democrats work is simply taking bribes. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole system. Their whole system is corrupt. And I don't know. These people need to be taken down. All right. Well, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think AOC is legitimately crazy? Look, I don't... That's a pretty tough accusation. It's a pretty tough thing. I mean, I'm not saying I think she is. I'm just speculating that that's a possibility. And I don't want to believe that, but it's hard to think of anything else. She seems so paranoid about everything. She seems paranoid about January 6th. She seems paranoid about her colleagues, her Republican colleagues. She thinks people want to kill her. And she seems to think that Marjorie Taylor Greene is some kind of stalker who's obsessed with her. AOC, nobody's obsessed with you, okay? Just because a couple of guys flirted with you when you were a waitress at a bar, that doesn't mean every guy is obsessed with you or Marjorie Taylor Greene is obsessed with you, okay? Nobody's obsessed with you. We're good, right? We just disagree with your ideas. So get over yourself and maybe have the courage of your convictions, stand up for what you believe, and actually debate somebody, right? Stand up there and defend your stupid Green New Deal, which you probably don't even know anything about. You probably never even read it, right? When Marjorie Taylor Greene asked her to debate her, apparently AOC said, well, did you even read it? My guess is AOC hasn't even read it. That's my guess. But I don't know. What do I know? Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. Maybe she's crazy. Maybe she isn't. Who knows? Anyway, I'd like to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section, so go ahead and let me know about that. Otherwise, I think we're done here. Done with the news. So, what do you guys have to say? Let's go to the questions and comments. I'm curious. Where is it? Boom. There we go. We're into the questions and comments now. Quick, Valeria uploads porn to your YouTube. Go check. Paper plates. Very funny. Very funny. Frank James says, toxic. Oh, well, hold on. Do we have any? Nope, no super chats. Okay, we're good. Frank James says, AOC doesn't believe any of this BS. She just wants other people to think that nonsense. You think so? I mean, so that's another thing. That's another consideration, that maybe she is as corrupt as Nancy Pelosi and all the rest of them. But it doesn't seem that way. She does seem a little different. She seems like she genuinely believes this crap. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.